Everyone, what is going on? My name is Archer Live, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about what we can expect next for the console versions of Payday 2 on Xbox One and PS4. And I'm going to talk about both paid DLC and free content updates so that we can cover everything, taking us from where we left off in mid-2016 with the Most Wanted update, right up to where PC versions are up to now with the Search for Kento and the Gage Russian pack DLC. I'm going to cover everything that's been released, talk about what's to come in there, and personally what I think we might see in the next content update and what things we might not see and what we might have to wait a little bit longer for. So we're going to start off first off with the Hoxon's housewarming party. This was a free event, which is, you know, the kind of almost subtext of Crime Fest, the thing they do every year in October time for Payday on PC. Hopefully very soon, maybe in the 2017 one, if not the 2018 one, we might be in line with PC for it. But by the by, last year in October 2016, they did the 10-day free event, and the main feature of this was the new safe house. However, the thing to note with this update is we actually got a few of these things in the Most Wanted DLC. And that's what I don't quite get. I found it a bit confusing, honestly, because for starters, the new difficulties, one down in Mayhem, they were day one of the Hoxon's housewarming party event. And we additionally got a new mask pack, which was all the grey kind of like black and white gangster masks, as well as the throwable concussion grenade and the medic. Looking at the rest of the stuff in the update, there are a few things that were missing that we didn't actually get. And those are the new safe house from day 2 of the update, the new safe from day 5 of the update, which we don't obviously have because we don't have the safes in our versions of the game. A second mask pack, which was, I can't even remember what the masks were. I'm pretty sure they were pretty bad, but that's by the by. It was some more free masks. And day 8, the mutators, which was kind of like mods almost, but in the game it kind of messed around with the different features that the enemies could have. So, for instance, giving bulldozers shields or killing enemies with shotguns would cause them to float up into space. Additionally, we didn't get the new weapon, the secondary, called the Goliath 12-gauge shotgun. It was just a better version of the Street Sweeper, sorry. And then finally, on day 10, we did not get the Classics Heist Panic Room. So that's all the content we are missing. So there is a few things that we did get in the last content update, but a few things that didn't quite make it in. I'm not quite sure why they chose to only put bits of the Hoxon's housewarming party in. Maybe it was just easier to add those things in, and they just thought they'd throw them in alongside the actual DLC that we got. Maybe that's the case. Maybe bringing in the safe house and panic room required a bit more work, and they just weren't ready to get it out yet. I'm presuming that's the case, but that's where we're up to. That's the first thing we can expect. So I would say that will definitely be in the next update. It wouldn't make any sense for it to not be. It's the next thing for us to expect. And of course, the thing to remember with this update is everything that was added was for free. So the new masks, the new safe house, everything was completely free. There was no price tag to anything. So when this stuff gets added, it'll all be free for every player on console versions. Moving on to the next paid DLC, we have the John Wick weapon pack, which included the Desert Fox sniper rifle, contractor pistol, both as a secondary and primary akimbo, the Jackal submachine gun, and the throwing knife throwable weapon. So, looking at their actual counterparts, I don't quite know the real-life variants apart from the Jackal, which I can see quite clearly is the UMP-45 submachine gun you might know from, say, Call of Duty. But there's a few pretty solid guns in there. I know the Contractor is known as one of the better pistols in the game. And also throwing knives, that's something I would like personally, because using the throwing axe in the Biker DLC, it's good, but I feel like it has a lot more weight to it. Like, it's really hard to get it to throw long distances, so it's not as practical in a heist. So hopefully the throwing knives will be a better alternative to that. But yeah, so only added a few weapons, and there were a few masks, patterns and materials, but I don't really want to cover those. There's not really any need to, because, you know, it's all pretty much the same as you go along. But yeah, so after that, the next thing we got was the Gage Spec Ops pack, which is another weapon add-on pack, so extra attachments, etc. That was, for instance, similar to the Butcher's AK car mod pack. It included a new grenade launcher called the Arbiter, which was a strange one because I think it required some challenges on PC or special missions to actually unlock it. You have to collect some weapon parts by doing certain heists. I'm not quite sure. I imagine because Overkill don't really like bringing in all these side jobs and stuff on console, they'll probably just give us the grenade launcher. Because I know, like, with masks and certain things on PC, you have to earn masks with achievements, whereas if you get the DLC on console, you just get all the masks instantly. So I don't know whether we'll have to do the challenges for it. I imagine it'll just be free. Well, not free, I'll be with the DLC, you know, without the special missions, but yeah, so there was a grenade launcher. But other than that, there was a bunch of new weapon mods. Reading the description off the Steam store, it says, 12 new special ops mods that will take the arsenal to an interesting level. Among the enhancements are a 45-degree sight, sniper scope, and distance meter sight for assassinations. Gage has always had a weak spot for the sharpshooters that deliver highly accurate rifle fire against enemy targets. It's hard to read. Sometimes they have a few spelling mistakes on the store. But again, 4 new masks, 4 new patterns, 4 new materials. It's pretty much same old, same old. Few decent masks in there, to be honest. But other than that, it's just kind of a little add-on thing. I'm pretty sure it made the ISMA 12 gauge shotgun a lot more usable on higher difficulties, because it's pretty much useless on anything like kind of above overkill. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But moving on from that, the next thing, and this is something I'm particularly looking forward to, this is the Scarface packs, which include the Scarface character pack and the Scarface heist. So first off, if we look at the character pack, it brings in a new playable heister called Scarface. I mean, you know, surprise, surprise. But he comes with the Kingpin perk deck. Now, this is something that I've heard quite a lot about, and it's possibly one of the most favoured perk decks on Loud alongside Anarchist. It's one of those perk decks where it's kind of something a bit different, but something that actually works quite well in practice. And how it works is you stab yourself with a loaded injector, I think they call it. It sounds so fancy. But I'm pretty sure what it does is it just kind of stops you from taking any damage for a few seconds. And basically you have to have a cooldown. I'm pretty sure that if you keep killing, then it reduces the cooldown. I'm not sure. I think it's similar to the Sicario perk deck, which I'll talk about later in that sense. Also comes with the Little Friend assault rifle, which has an underbarrel grenade launcher, which is quite interesting. I'm not sure how they'll kind of toggle that. Maybe it'll be the kind of the gadget button, so you know, to turn lasers on and off. Instead, you just flip the grenade launcher to launch it. I'm not quite sure. There's also a chainsaw, although I'm pretty sure it does absolutely no damage. Like, it's just like any other melee weapon. So, I mean, at this point, are we really bothered about melee weapons? I'm not too bothered, honestly. I just use the brass knuckles for pretty much anything. But yeah, so there's the chainsaw, and then obviously you'll get Scarface's mask and Scarface Begins. But it's mainly the character that you buy these things for, really, other than the perk deck, because, you know, it's someone more interesting to play as. Obviously, it's worth considering that, you know, if you don't own the character pack, you can still get Scarface as an AI player, like, alongside you. There's still a chance that he will appear. So, if that's what you'd rather have, then you don't need to buy the character pack, but that's an option for you guys if you're interested. But alongside the character pack, we have the Scarface heist, which is kind of set. I'm not really sure that it's taken straight from the movie. I think it is. I haven't actually seen Scarface, which is a cardinal sin. I really need to have seen that film. But I'm pretty sure that it's kind of very heavily linked to the film. But it's a stealth all-out heist, so you can take whatever option that you want. But to read the description to make it a bit easier, the Butcher is sending a message and the Payday gang is her heralds. The blood and death is the only thing these people understand, and the Sosa HQ is a legendary old drug lord's mansion, and to assault it the gang needs to get creative. Trash the place, draw the Sosas out and kill the boss, or do a stealth approach and sneak in, assassinate the boss, and sneak out. Either way, get all the loot as icing on the cake, and experience the Scarface legacy like you've always wanted and turn Miami's drug market upside down. Alongside this, you'll get the Commando 101 rocket launcher, and you'll get the Hotline 8000X melee weapon, which is just basically like an 80s cell phone that you can hit people with. I mean, again, not really too bothered about that. But you'll get 4 masks with this, as well as new patterns and materials, and some new achievements. But other than that, I think it's mainly the heist that's the attracting thing here. It's always the main thing that's the most attractive, I would say. But this is something that I'm quite excited for. I'd like to see the stealth options on this and see how that plays out, but also Loud. Just, it will be very, very exciting to do. And on top of that, what's the theme music for this heist? The Loud music that comes with it? Break the Rules by Simon Vickland. Possibly the best song to be in the Payday 2 soundtrack. I adore it, and I would love to have it on console versions. Just like having some stuff from the Hardcore Henry heist. There was some good music in that. I can't wait to get that for the console update. Next up, we'll be looking at the John Wick heist, which came out in February 2017. The first DLC that we actually got in 2017 on PC. What this brought was 2 new heists, a loud only and a stealth only. So first off, you've got the loud only heist, Brooklyn 1010, which is surrounding helping out Sharon, who is the, well, Sharon, I say that like it's a woman, or it's Charon, I'm not quite sure, but I've just kind of said it like that. So we'll say Charon for the sake of pronunciation. But it's basically about him doing some deal, I think it is. He gets ambushed, and the Payday gang basically has to save him, because John Wick has now gained them membership with the Continental, and that's how you upgrade the safe house. From Hoxon's housewarming party, you're able to earn Continental coins. And any of you who've seen John Wick, you'll know what they are. They're kind of the currency in the underworld of assassins. So, you know, using them, it's a time with the John Wick universe. So it's kind of like, you've got to rescue Charon, you're members of the Continental, so go help him kind of thing. And then additionally, from saving Charon, he then tells you about the stealth heist, the yacht heist, which is possibly one of the most exciting stealth heists there is. It's a very interesting one because it doesn't take long to do, but it's in a really kind of intricate map. It's really highly detailed, and it's quite an interesting stealth mechanic. You have to find different batches of money hidden across the yacht, and it's completely random where they'll spawn, so it means you've got to do quite a lot of exploration, and I like that. I like being able to kind of search around and get as much loot as you can, so that'll be really interesting. I like that, and I'm looking forward to that as probably one of the most important things alongside the Scarface packs, really. Along with that, you'll get the Contractor .308 sniper rifle, the Hook melee weapon, as well as 4 new masks, materials, and patterns, and a bunch of achievements. But yeah, I think really the thing that stands out for me is the yacht heist, mainly because I'm just a stickler for stealth. I love it. But Brooklyn 1010, I've seen footage of it. It's not, you know, the best loud heist. I think personally my favourite loud heist is the biker heist, but this looks good. It doesn't look like Goat Simulator bad. It just kind of, I'm like, it might be better than I think when I actually get on and play it, but I'll be buying it either way so I can get my thoughts on it when I've got it. The final Payday DLC pack that has been released on PC that we haven't had yet on console is the Gage Russian weapon pack, which includes 3 new weapons: the AK-17, the Grom sniper rifle, and the Tatonka SMG. The real-life counterparts are the AK-12 assault rifle, the PP-19 Bison submachine gun, and I'm pretty sure it's the Dragunov sniper rifle, as well as the Rezkoi tactical knife and some new masks, materials, and patterns. The real thing that stands out to me here is the Tatonka. I just think it looks like an absolutely brilliant SMG. The AK-17, I mean, I'm kind of used to having all different assault rifles. I don't know whether it'll be anything new or anything kind of interesting to add to the table. It might not be, but yeah, the SMG is where it's at as far as I'm concerned. But some very good looking weapons, honestly, and it'll be really interesting to play around with it. But there's not really a lot else to talk about with that one. It's just 3 weapons. There's a few unique attachments to, say, the sniper rifle, but apart from that, that's the final paid DLC. And moving on from that, we only have one thing left to talk about, which is one of the more controversial of the free events, I would say personally, and that's the Search for Kento, which happened in April. Now, it was one of the more controversial ones because for a while now with the free events, both in spring and October, so Crime Fest and Spring Break, there's been a lot of kind of arguments about the fact that during these events, people have to update their game every day, because every day they're adding new stuff to the game. So Overkill took a little bit of a different approach this time, and instead of releasing something every day, they released something every 2 days, and on every day where they didn't release new stuff for Payday 2, they did what was called Paper Gang, which was like kind of teaching you how to make little papercraft figurines of the heisters and stuff like that. Personally, it sounds good on paper, pun not intended, but I kind of doesn't really bother me. Kind of, when I was a kid, I would always try and mess around paper things and make papercraft and end up just messing it up, so I wouldn't bother with it. But I get where Overkill came from. They wanted to reduce the amount of updates people had. Whether they'll stick to that in the future, I don't know, because they did get a backlash, but it's kind of like you can't really win. People want less updates, and then when they get less updates, they complain again because they just got rubbish in between, in their opinion. So, but anyway, what we actually received in the free event was, first off, a new heist. We got Heat Street, which is the one that I knew a lot from the original game, the one I recognised the most, I should say, as a Payday the Heist classic. Because obviously I never played the original game, but you know, I'd heard about occasional heists here and there. But Heat Street was the one I'd heard the most about. I think it was about a driver who turned on you and you had to basically rectify it. I'm not quite sure. I shouldn't really try and explain a heist, I don't know, but it's one of the more favourable loud heists, and that's something I'm quite excited for. But on day 4, the second content update, we got possibly the best free thing we're going to get. Ignore the whole safe house thing and any other new heist. We got the Crime Spree game mode. Now, to me, this is something completely out there and completely different to anything else in the game. To explain what Crime Spree is to those of you who don't know, who are console players and don't follow PC, Crime Spree is basically chaining together all different heists in just specific days. You don't have to do the entire heist. And what you do is, as you go along and you build up your Crime Spree and your Crime Spree rank, you get more rewards, but the heists become tougher. So it starts out on Overkill difficulty, and as you go along, as you gain Crime Spree rank, you have to add what's called modifiers to make the game harder and to make it more challenging. So you can have loud modifiers, such as giving enemies more damage and, you know, being able to have more health as well. Or stealth modifiers, so being able to answer 1, 2, 3, even 4 less pages during a heist, or say the alarm going off when more than 10 civilians are killed, and so on. So as you go up, these things become more and more impactful. So for instance, you might first say the alarm goes off if more than 10 civilians are killed, the next one might be 7, the next one might be 4. So you have to kind of adapt to that, and I suppose really it gets to a point where you can't really stealth anything anymore, unless it's like 4 stores or something really simple. So it's really interesting, and to be able to play around with that and to get kind of up there and explore will be actually really, really fun. and I'm really looking forward to that. And I know more recently, in one of the updates they've released, they've just completely overhauled it, added a bunch of new modifiers and all sorts to kind of make it more interesting. So when we get it, hopefully we'll get the add-ons as well, so it'll be really interesting to see where that actually goes and where we go from there with you know, playing Crime Spree. Alongside that, we get the armor safe. Well, we won't get the actual safe itself, but the armor skins will be implemented in the way they are on PC for some of them, which is you earn them as loot drops from playing the Crime Spree game mode. When you claim your rewards at the end of your Crime Spree, you can have a chance of getting armor skins. So there's some of them that are really good, like the SWAT armor skin. Just some of them look really, really awesome, and I would really like to have them on my character. But it's just more stuff, and the Crime Spree game mode is something completely new in itself. It's new, and it's, I suppose, it's innovative. It's kind of like, I suppose, I've heard this analogy before, it's like an arcade machine. It's like, you know, you get started, and as you play it for longer, it gets more challenging, but the rewards get better. So it's that kind of sense. And I'm a bit of a stickler for old-fashioned arcades, you know, like beach arcades and stuff, like especially those little machine. Oh, I'm just going off topic here. I'm an absolute nut job like that. But yeah, so Crime Spree game mode, I'm just absolutely over the moon excited for that. I think that'll be really good. Moving on to day 6. We got a new throwable, which is the incendiary grenade. So, you know, it's pretty much what you would think. You throw it and then it kind of explodes and then leaves a bit of a kind of, you know, fire trail. It's a bit different to the Molotov. It's not like, you know, as soon as it impacts, it detonates. It's kind of like you throw it and then it moves around a bit and then explodes. And on top of that, there's twice as many of these as you would have Molotovs. You'd have 3 Molotovs, but you could have 6 incendiary grenades. So that's something to appeal to people. Additionally, you get the 5.7 armor penetrating pistol. This was quite an odd one at the start because people were saying that while it is a pretty cool addition to the game, it only had a total ammo of 30 and a magazine of 15, which meant that, you know, you only had 2 magazines. They did eventually buff that and add 3 magazines into it, but I don't really know how it plays out other than that. I just know that it's a very handy pistol to have on high difficulties, provided you can maintain the ammo. So, you know, something to keep in mind. Additionally to that, there's also the Rick Punked mod pack, which added a few extra little attachments, modifiers to guns. The only 2 I can see here looking at it is the Rick Punked 45-degree sights and the Rick Punked magnifier gadget, which adds additional zoom to already equipped sights, making long-range distance kills easier. On top of that, a few new masks. I mean, you know, the masks in free events I'm not really that bothered about, but it's more the gameplay that I'm interested in. Having a new throwable is just always really interesting, and I'm sure the 5.7 AP will be something, you know, quite interesting to have a mess around with and just, you know, see how it goes. On day 8, we got the Henchman AI beta on PC, which, you know, fast forward a little bit after the event, and it became, you know, crew management, as it's now called on PC. If you go on there, you can basically customize what your AI look like, so what masks they wear, what weapons they use, which AI you want, if you want to go that far. If you own the characters, you can pick them for use in the game. If not, you can leave it to random, and you might have a chance of getting one that you don't own as an AI. But you can also pick little boosts and, you know, both kind of traits, and there's 2 different ones I'm trying to remember. I think it's boosts and abilities that they grant you. So, you know, there's passive ones like increased health, increased armor, increased dodge, or there's active ones such as increased interaction speed. And the way a lot of them work is with the actual abilities, that the more AI there are, the more effective this boost becomes. For instance, AI can now inspire you the way that human players would. The base recharge from that for an AI is 6 minutes. However, it's reduced by 2 minutes for every extra AI. So if you have 3 AI and yourself with Inspire on, then every 2 minutes, if you die, an AI can revive you by inspiring if they're within range. So it just adds a lot more option to the AI, and for me, someone who actually does play with AI occasionally, not as much as human players, but I do play with AI a bit, it's something good to mess around with and to, you know, get more familiar with. So it'll be good to get into that and have a look around and just see how it plays out. I do know that spawns are increased when you play with Team AI, especially with 3 of them, so that might end up being a bit of a shoot yourself in the foot scenario, you know, think you're better with 3 AI, but then end up getting destroyed by cops because there's so many. But, you know, regardless, it's still something quite interesting to play around with. Moving on to the final day of the Search for Kento event was the release of Green Bridge, which is the only heist where you wear an outfit different to your suits, at least it is to my knowledge. You wear like a yellow raincoat and you go out onto a bridge to find a prisoner. I don't really know why you're finding him, but hey ho, you're getting paid for it. What's the point other than that? But it's another classic from Payday the Heist, and I'm pretty sure beyond that, at that point, we have every classic on Payday 2 except for the Diamond Heist. And I don't see them adding that. They might do, but considering we already have a Payday 2 heist called the Diamond, you know, the diamond heist, the diamond store. It might get a bit confusing. I don't know. They might rename it and say it's based off that classic. I think that might be the smartest route to take, but I'm not sure, honestly. But that's it. That covers everything we're going to be getting up to, you know, where we're on now on PC. A lot more recently on PC, it's been more about free updates and DLC and stuff. And then finally, one that I actually almost forgot to mention because it's not on the Steam, so it was a free update, is the release of Sangres and the Sicario perk deck. Sangres is the most recent character to be added to the Payday 2 gang, and he is a Mexican with his own revolver, which comes in the Kimbo variant, which was initially hyped and later on kind of thought to be, you know, pretty subpar, pretty average. But, you know, it's more weapons in the Akimbo pool, but Sangres himself, Mexican character, you know, someone a little bit different, but I don't know much about him other than Sicario is, well, what people joke about is the poor people's version of Kingpin. So what Sicario involves is throwing a smoke bomb down on the ground, and it operates in a similar kind of scenario to Kingpin. While you're in the smoke bomb, it's much harder for enemies to shoot you, but obviously it's harder for you to shoot enemies. But it has a cooldown, and for every enemy you kill, the cooldown is decreased by 1 second, but it has a base cooldown now of 60 seconds. It was originally 30, but they nerfed it to 60 seconds. But yeah, it's basically just Kingpin, but for people who don't want to buy the DLC. It's very, very similar to that. So that's something else to consider, but, you know, I just love having new characters and seeing what they bring into the game, so it'll be interesting. And of course, it'll actually have a use for XP on top of Continental Coins, because, I don't know whether I mentioned, Continental Coins, you earn them through side jobs and stuff on PC, but to actually get them yourself by just grinding heists, you get 1 coin per million XP that you earn. So finally, being max level, gaining XP will actually have a use. I'm looking forward to that. But other than that, that covers everything. Every update that Payday 2 has had on PC that we haven't had on consoles. So, looking at it, and looking at the actual amount of DLC, we have 6 DLC packs. I'm counting each of the Scarface ones individually there. As well as 2 free events, and then additionally, the Sangres character pack, which is a total of 9 DLCs/events. Now, if we look at the big score, now that in itself, in September 2016, that was 10 premium DLCs. And that was because, you know, we hadn't had an update since the game was released in 2015. So it was the chance for Overkill to prove to themselves, to their fans, I mean, that they were still supporting the game. So they pushed a lot of stuff out there. The Most Wanted DLC only came with a few less English. However, the Most Wanted DLC only had 5 DLC packs. It covered the Goat Simulator Heist, Biker Packs, the Sydney character pack, and then the free update with Hardcore Henry Heists and Jimmy. If you count those separately, I suppose that's 6, but in terms of paid DLC, you know, there was only 4 paid DLC updates, so, you know, it was a lot less. But that took 9 months to come out after, you know, the big score, so when will we get the next update? It's hard to say, but they have talked a bit about how they were working on a system to facilitate faster releases of DLC. They claimed on this annual live stream they do called Starstream that they'd actually almost finished this new system. I don't know what it is. I don't know what they're talking about, but it sounds good, so let's hope that it's true. But personally, what could we expect? If we're going to get any DLC in the next 1 or 2, 3 months, I don't expect we get all of it. I think maybe it ties up to the end of 2016, get us all the stuff from Hoxon's housewarming party, the John Wick weapon pack, the Gage Spec Ops pack, and the Scarface packs, and then that, you know, that will be a sensible amount to give us, like how the big score took us to the end of 2015, and that would only leave after that the John Wick heists, the Gage Russian pack, the Search for Kento event, and then on top of that the Sangres character pack. So I don't know, that seems like a sensible split to me. It makes sense they'd split it at the end of 2016 like they did with 2015, and how with the Most Wanted we're kind of halfway through 2016, even though there's a few bits from October, but hey ho, that's just details. I don't know why they added those in, like I said, but yeah, I would expect up to the end of 2016's DLC, and honestly, I'd expect it around September time, if not sooner. I wouldn't kind of push it and say they're going to do it sooner. I'm hoping they will surprise us. They have said about this system, obviously, so don't count on me saying that, because it may be they surprise us, they release it sooner. But on PC, they've been uber quiet. Like, there's not been a paid DLC since March, so now for 4 months nearly. So they probably push one out in this month, if not next month. But in terms of what we'll get, that's what I'd say. I'd say, well, in terms of what's left on PC, it's in 2 batches for console. That's my sensible, I would hope, viewpoint. So, other than that, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it and I hope it's been somewhat informative for you guys. And it's covered, you know, just what exactly we're looking for in this DLC. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Comment below with your thoughts on what I've actually suggested and what will come out in the next DLC update, whether you agree, disagree. If I've forgotten anything, I hope I didn't, but if I have, then let me know. And other than that, any challenges, as I've always said, challenges, stealth, solo stealth builds, anything like that, anything you want me to do for Payday 2, always leave it in the comments and I'll look at it and I'll take it from there. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you are new, and other than that, thank you guys for watching and I'll see you all in the next video.